Mother Nature can be unpredictable. Artist and filmmaker Cory Trepanier found that out firsthand when he traveled to the Yukon to paint and shoot a film.
That's the iceberg I'm coming to paint. Wow. Oh, there goes my iceberg. Oh, wow.
TrueWild Kluane is a look inside his 30-day adventure in the Yukon's Kluane National Park. He's here to share some of that adventure and his paintings with us this morning. Wow. The beauty of the Yukon.
Well, this is it. Got spectacular light. Finally, what I came here for, got a chance to paint glacier view of Mount Logan. This is one big scene.
Fine art from Canada's highest peak, Mount Logan, is just one of the stunning locations featured in a new short film called TrueWild Kluane, which documents artist Cory Trepanier's excursion to Yukon's Kluane National Park, and he joins us in studio. This was an incredible month journey for you and grueling with 4 different phases.
Yeah, absolutely, but it was worth every bit of it.
Well, let's start at the beginning. Let's start with Mount Logan and tell me, because we're going to take a look at the painting that you did when you were out there. Tell me about that.
Well, you know, the first part of the month was 9 days of skiing in the ice fields of Kluane National Park. So you're on top of, 13 feet of snow, whatever that is in meters, on top of a kilometer and a half of ice. And from that vantage point, I'm looking at the biggest mountain in all of Canada. And it's really stunning to be able to spend time up there and set up my easel in a place where few people have ever set up before.
So we can see you on the track right now. And then the result of the track, of course, in and of itself, is a huge accomplishment, but there's your beautiful painting.
Well, thank you. And this is a study for what will become my first major, I'm calling them legacy painting from my TrueWild, a legacy for the National Parks project. And that is, I want to create this piece as an 8 to 10 foot painting as an homage to this incredible part of our country that not only do few people ever see, but few people have ever had the opportunity to paint as well.
And how do you do this under the conditions? Like you've got to have been exhausted doing all of that, cold.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're all of it together, but I found that when I do expeditions that take me physically to the edge as well as mentally, it sort of opens up your mind in a different kind of way, because when you can experience the landscape, and I feel for myself that it's only through that experience that I can even hope to create paintings that are meaningful, then hopefully that can translate, and the person looking at them later on can get a bit of a sense more of what it's like to be there.
I want to take a look at another painting in one of the other phases of your journey. And so we've assembled a number of them here, but let's start over here, and you tell me about this particular painting that you did and where you were at the time.
So this was canoeing back on Mush and Bates Lake, and it's a beautiful backcountry lake. It's about a 3.5-hour ride in, and it was a couple of days of canoeing and camping in this wonderful part of Kluane that not many people get to because it's so difficult to access. And Bates Lake in particular is known to be windy, and so when we arrived it was windy and the waters were dark, and that's what I loved about this particular view, is the dark, scary kind of waters. And yeah, just a beautiful spot, and behind those mountains are the ice fields again.
And that's okay, in the ice field. So then we're going to move just a little bit, one painting over, and talk about this lake here.
Yes,
which
that is Low Lake. So at the end of the 4th phase of the trip, which was a 9-day rafting trip down the Canadian Heritage River called the Alsek, we wound up at Low Lake. And I think you showed a clip earlier of an iceberg collapsing.
Yes, okay, well, we're going to talk about that.
If you look closely in this painting, there is the largest iceberg on the lake. This happened the evening before that particular collapse, and that collapse was on the last night of the whole journey. I'd hoped to paint it, and I thought I never painted the iceberg. But
so
in fact, I had the night before, as it's in this painting, really small. It wasn't what I intended to do. So this is a piece too. It's just this vast, vast view overlooking Low Glacier, and it's just a spectacular place. So I want to do this piece bigger, so at least my iceberg might be 2 or 3 inches in size.
And then look what happened while you were looking at it. This is your
This is the next day when I went out to paint it up close. It didn't want to cooperate. But, you know,
it didn't want to cooperate.
People have asked me, were you sad that you didn't get to paint the iceberg? And I said, you know, to have been able to witness nature at its most powerful firsthand, I would trade for the opportunity to paint it any day.
Is it true that you thought, or somebody said, that maybe the yodeling or the kind when you were doing it might have triggered this whole collapse?
Well, you know, we were having lunch that day on shore, hoping to get out just because the wind makes it very difficult, and we were joking about what if it actually collapsed when we went out there. And then it all happened, and we thought, man, people are going to think we set this up. We planted some dynamite somewhere.
You did not.
No, we didn't. That's real.
Tell me about just the motivation to go and do this and share these beautiful scenics with people of Canada.
Well, it's as an artist, I'm always seeking, what inspires me the most first. I mean, that's what an artist has to do, really, to be able to pursue stuff with the passion and the long hours that we do. And for me, it's painting landscapes and wilderness landscapes, and that brought me into doing national parks in the last number of years a great deal. And as a result of doing that, I've discovered that, it's not very hard to figure out, but not a lot of people get to see these places.
Right.
And through the films that I create and my paintings, it's been really rewarding to have other people connect to these parts of our country that maybe they won't get to, or maybe it'll inspire them to go out to
places
themselves.
Like this.
Yeah, and people say, well, it's so hard to get to these places, it's so expensive sometimes. Well, but they'll go maybe to the Caribbean 3 times on their holiday. So I say, I'd trade up 3 or 4 or 5 visits to the Caribbean for one trip to a wild place in Canada, for sure.
Your paintings are just nothing short of spectacular, and for folks at home saying, hey, I'm interested, sadly, a lot of them were pre-sold, right?
Well, this is what helps fund some of these journeys. Clients to get in touch, they pick up pieces before we go, and they get to pick first. But people can experience the journey, and I just want to make sure people know today is the launch of the 20-minute short film that I did for Parks Canada, who assisted me getting around up there, as well as a number of wonderful people up in parks up there and others. And if you go to TrueWild.ca, and you can choose to click on the French or the English button, and you can watch the film on YouTube and get a great taste of what this incredible place is like. On top of that, I'm working on a full-length film that I'm looking to have ready by later this fall to coincide with that major painting I'm working on from Logan as well.
My gosh,
so
what an adventure.
Yeah.
No kidding, but so great to be able to share it with us. Thank you kindly for that.
That's my pleasure.
And we can let you know that we will have a link, by the way, to Cory's website at canadaam.ctvnews.ca, and the information where you can see the short as well.